Hello everyone, welcome to another Tornado Talks. Today I'll be talking about an idea I've had for a while. I've talked about this on a few streams of mine, but now I'm going to go into detail how it'll work. This is the Kirby 3D collection. If HAL Laboratory actually does call it something else, kudos on them because I did not know what else to call this. But let's get into the video. If it wasn't obvious from the thumbnail, the collection contains Kirby Triple Deluxe, Kirby Planet Robobot, and Kirby Battle Royale. I will explain the details on what's new to them and what's going to be in them later, but for how this works is you have multiple save files on Triple Deluxe and Robobot, of course, but Battle Royale is its own exclusive mode, and it will have online like the original and all of that. But anyways, let's get to Triple Deluxe. Okay, so the updates for Kirby Triple Deluxe are a multiplayer option in the main campaign, only up to 2 players because I think it's very obvious why. Another thing is improved version of a mini game and a brand new mode. So let's get into that. Okay, so for multiplayer, like I said, it's only 2 player because the original games were only for 1 player. So I feel like 2 players is the only way for this to work. And the way this works is you can connect via online or locally. And you'll play as a yellow Kirby. Another thing is if you get the Miracle Fruit, if I remember if that's what it's called, please correct me if I'm wrong. The other person won't have it, but they'll still be able to journey on with you, like with Return to Dreamland with the super abilities. But that's pretty much the multiplayer aspect. Now let's talk about the upgrade of DD's Drum Dash. Okay, now let's talk about King Dedede's Drum Dash. Now, pretty much the upgrade to this is a very interesting upgrade, because what I decided to do with this is, since, the 3DS eShop is dead, people won't be able to play the actual game version of this, which is Dedede's Drum Dash Deluxe. That is pretty much what this update is. After you beat the first Dedede's Drum Dash mode, you'll be able to go on to the later levels for Deluxe, so people can still experience it. I think this would be a good way to provide more content for the game, but not only that, it gives people a chance to play this game they haven't got to play. But unlike the main campaign, this is a single player only mode, which is very obvious. But anyways, let's get to the new mode. Okay, now for the new mode, which I think is obvious from what it is, but for this new mode, we have Taranza's own prologue mode. Pretty much this works like Maglor's epilogue mode without the upgrades in that, because it wouldn't really fit this mode for how I envisioned it. I don't know how HAL Laboratory would, but this is how it'll go. So Taranza will spot the amazing mirror and decide to give it to Sectonia as a present, like in the original game, like we've seen from text. But when he gets there, he gets sucked into the mirror, and well, that's when he has to go through this big open area like in the original Amazing Mirror, and pretty much take down a few bosses, take down the final boss, whatever it's gonna be, and he'll be able to get the mirror, and that will show how he got the mirror in the first place, because we have no clue how he did that. But any case, that is all for Triple Deluxe's updates. Oh yeah, by the way, Dee Dee's Drum Dash is still here because I feel like they wouldn't really take this out since it's a speedrun mode, and not only that, it's the only way to play the harder bosses in Triple Deluxe. So yeah. Anyways, let's get to the next game. Okay, now for Kirby Planet Robobot. This is pretty much the same as Triple Deluxe, but with a few differences. As I said, I was going to talk about the multiplayer and the new mode update, and not only that, another new mode. So let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the multiplayer for Robobot. It's pretty much similar to Triple Deluxe's, except, Hypernova's not in here. Instead, we have the Robobot suit. And yes, second player won't be able to have the Robobot suit if the first player does. But they're able to have it if the first player doesn't have the suit. That's the difference in this. Anyways, let's get to the mode update. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot. Yes, a second player can get Hypernova. I forgot to mention that on Triple Deluxe, but I put that here so everyone would know. So yeah, that's there also. Now we can go into the mode update. Okay, now for the mode update, which is very obvious, is Kirby 3D Rumble. And as with the Triple Deluxe mode update, this version of 3D Rumble will go to Kirby Blowout Blast after you beat the first levels in 3D Rumble. That's pretty much it. And like with the other mode update, this won't have multiplayer, sadly, because, originally wasn't made for it. But anyways, let's get to the new mode. Okay, now for the new mode. And this one I think is pretty obvious. For the mode we have for Robobot, we have Susie as the main character this time. And pretty much what she'll be doing is trying to get back to her dimension, to her dad, because we never figured out how she did that. So let's get into how the mode plays. Okay, so how this mode works is Susie, she gets teleported to the other dimension because that's what happens and how everything started. So the story here is pretty much Susie has to go through the other dimension and try to get out. Meanwhile, she has to take down a few bosses that she sees, which inspires the Haltman Company to make some of the bosses in Robobot. Also, another thing about this mode, unlike Taranza's where it's more open, this one's way more linear because I think it fits more for the story. But casually, I think Susie would probably actually get upgrades in this mode because I feel like that just fits her. And then you take down the big final boss, you get back to Holtman, and of course he doesn't remember her very well like we know in Robobot's lore. But anyways, that's all for Robobot's new mode. Now onto the rest. Meta Nightmare Returns will be back, so don't worry, that's not gone. But now on to Kirby Battle Royale. Okay, now for Kirby Battle Royale. The updates for this will be very small since this mode has already a lot in it from the base game. So let me tell you what it's going to have. So for the new stuff we have is new costumes. The power orbs are now selected by ZR and ZL. And how you actually use them is by using the top D-pad direction. The other directions let you do taunts, and that works for the other games also. Another thing is they might add new abilities. I'm not for sure for that, so I'm not really going to state that's going to happen. But if they did do that, that would be a nice little touch. But that is pretty much is the thing with this mode. It doesn't have that much added to it. It's just a nice convenience to have since this game is pretty much dead on the 3DS like the other games. So anyways, let's get on to the last topic. Oh yeah, one more thing. This game does support game share, so people can play it even if they don't have it. Only one person needs it. Anyways, let's get to the last few things. Okay, now for something some of you have been probably wondering. How do you select each of the games? This is how. They will all be displayed in a certain way. You'll have your settings, your music, all your other kinds of stuff you see in the Kirby games now. On the left, you will see Triple Deluxe. In the middle, you will see Battle Royale. And on the right, you will see Planet Robobot. You scroll through them, choosing which one you want to play. And when you get on one of them, not like actually playing them, just selecting them, it'll play the jingle that it had on the 3DS menu screen, which I thought was a nice little touch. Another thing is, if you beat everything in Triple Deluxe and Robobot, another mode will be added to the menu screen here, which will be a True Arena EX, where you go through all of the bosses in Triple Deluxe and Robobot, and might have a new boss, not for sure on that, but that is pretty much how you select things. This is how this whole collection will go. It pretty much has everything from the past, stuff from the original games, but just edited a bit. But I hope you all like the idea. This is a thing I've been wanting to have for a long time, and I really think this would make an amazing, maybe Switch 2 exclusive game, but I could see the original Switch doing this also. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing year, and God bless you all, and thank you all for watching. See you all later.